Hi friends, hello the world. Welcome to this episode of Tools for Transitioning Humanitarians and your host, Asela Romanova. So today I want to talk about what do we do when we think money is within our control and what we actually don't do when money is within our control. And I want to give you a backstory of how this came about. And the backstory is two things. So one is I was coaching a lot of humanitarians around what is the main obstacle that's stopping them from transitioning and living the life they want to, right? What is it that really they feel, okay, I really want to do all these things that I want to, but I can't do it because of. And the reason oftentimes that they believe is the reason is money. So I have found like try to showcase so many different ways as to how that obstacles keep creating the results that we currently have, and how as long as we feel that is the problem that we can't solve, then this is where we are, or this is how we continue living our lives, right? And I have shown it in so many different ways. And one of the things that the other reason that I wanted to do this is because I've been coached yesterday, in fact, by my amazing coach. And one of the activities that she suggested, the exercises that she suggested to do, is what do I do if this thing that I want is within my control versus when I think this is not within my control. And it doesn't need to be money per se. It can also be if I believe time is not within my control, how do I act, how my days are, how do I spend my time daily, versus when I think it is actually within my control, meaning I can do something about it, then how my day is, right? So we can also do that with any other thing. Like if I believe the relationship is that I want is not within my control, how I behave and how I feel and how I think about things versus when I feel like I can actually do something about it. And then what are the things that I actually start doing or not doing? And I have done this exercise yesterday evening on my own thing that I was believing the thing that was not within my control. And I have come up with, I don't know how many, I think, let me just show you my notebook of notes of like, I don't know how many, 5 pages of notes of what are the things that I'm doing when I believe this thing is not within my control versus this thing is within my control. And I did this now for my humanitarians, collecting all of the things they tell me about what are the things they do when they believe money is not within their control. I have listed all of the uh, all of their reasons or things that they do when they believe money is not within their control. And then I also listed all the things they do when they actually start believing that money is within their control or they can do something about creating the money they want. And I have listed all of them from my clients who actually believe that money is within their control, they can do something about it. And those who are actually even going for a million, I have listed all of what they do as well, so that you can start seeing in contrast of how our belief system influences the way we do things or we don't do things, right? How we keep experiencing our lives when we think something is not within our control versus when we think something is within our control. And I also highly recommend after hearing this list, I will be reading out some of them. And then after hearing this list, I would like for you to also do this exercise with yourself and say, okay, if I believe this thing, whatever that thing is, whether it's time, energy, money, relationship, job, whatever it is, when I believe this is not within my control, what are the things that I end up doing versus when I actually believe this is within my control, what are the things I end up doing, and most importantly, how I experience life. Right? So here we go. This is now about money. And as I said, the money is being the biggest obstacle that it seems for many humanitarians. I wanted to list out all the things that they keep telling me as to what they're doing when they believe money is not within their control, or money is the reason they can't really go to transition to what they want to. So when they think money is not within their control, um, so I will transfer it to you, or you can also write it in I do this, I do that form. But here is, I think I did it to you. So spin a lot about what to do or whether to transition or not, right? Because you're worried that you can make the money work. Worry about whether you keep doing the things that you are doing or just leave because you're so tired of it. You keep hating, tolerating behaviors of your colleagues or boss or manager, supervisor, and then at the same time, you keep telling yourself you feel stuck because you can't really do anything about it or you can't really go anywhere because of money, right? You also tell yourself that you're quitting now, you're not gonna stay any longer, I'm done, and then feeling the next day you have to force yourself, get out of bed and go to work because you again tell yourself you don't have anywhere to make other things that you love to work. And you also tell yourself that you are so scared whether it will work out, even if you will go and transition. You also feel that this thing that you are wanting on the other side of transitioning is not really stable. So how could you make it work? You actually then don't own the results of what you have created so far, and you keep feeling like all of what's happening to you now is not really what you have decided. You just took over because you didn't have another choice, and then you just feel like you're suffering under the consequences of compromising too much, and you feel like you don't want to do that, but at the same time, you feel like you don't have options. So you then keep studying things or listening to podcasts, but you also don't really know where and how to apply systematically, or you feel like you're just doing things randomly here and there and feel like it's not really getting you anywhere. So you also keep wondering about other people transitioning, whether they have done it or not, and if they have done it, what they have done it. But then you feel like, well, their success cannot be replicated with you because your story is very different or unique, or you don't have what it takes to do that, right? You also keep finding more reasons of how what they are saying can't be done or can be replicated. For instance, I used to share my experience of how I have replicated my UN salary or more at the B3 level. Well, actually P4 level as well. And then a lot of people used to tell me that, well, that's not really possible for me. I can see how it would be possible for other people, but I don't see how it's possible for me. And this all comes from this belief that I don't really have any power over money, right? So you then keep feeling tired of the state you are in, where you keep constantly forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do, being in places that you don't want to be, but at the same time keep telling yourself that there is no other way. And you keep feeling confused, and you then realize that you're just keep being in circles over and over again, meaning that you have been talking about the same things over last year and you keep talking about the same things this year, and you just feel like your life has frozen. You keep telling your friends that, oh, I should do this, I should do that, or I see that other people are doing it, or I could do this, and then you never actually go and do that. And then your friends are also telling you that enough with shooting, but just go and do it, whatever it is. We don't want you to be seeing you keep feeling tortured the whole time, right? So you also realize that you keep having the same thoughts over and over again. You keep ruminating the same things. You keep feeling the same things of frustration, disappointment, overwhelmed, not really knowing where to go, feeling stuck, and all sorts of those feelings. And you just feel like they're your habitual ways of being in the world. So then you keep telling yourself, okay, enough is enough. I have to do something. And then fear hits in, and then you just feel like, oh, like maybe I will do that in a month's time. Maybe I will do that in the new year. Maybe I will do that next time. Or maybe I will do that when I'm not less busy. When maybe I will do that when I have submitted all of these deadlines, all of these reports, then maybe I will do that. In the meantime, you keep also calculating what would it take for you to do this and then just rip the band-aid off, but you never do. You also keep telling how others have what it takes and you don't. And you keep reasoning with yourself that you have never done this before. So therefore, how would you know that you can actually do that? Or who will guarantee you that you can actually do that, right? And that's, I think, something that many clients tell me, that somehow they believe there is someone who needs to guarantee that what they're going to do or what they're going to transition to is going to work. And then when they see actually people who are saying that I have done it, and of course I cannot vouch for your life, but I have done it, so you probably can do it too. And then they feel like, no, 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 probably they can do it, but I can't, right? So then essentially you keep living the life from what to do or how to proceed or where to go, where to start, a confused or hesitating mindset, and your life experience will keep feeling that way, in the way that is like nor here nor there type of experience. And then you keep also telling yourself or arguing that even if you did go, it would be a hard work, and you're not really willing to do that because you're already tired of doing all the other things. Why would you now want to commit yourself to a hard work? And you also keep telling yourself that you cannot or don't want to start from scratch, and then you just feel like you're stuck again. So then you keep convincing yourself that how you don't have confidence, how you don't have commitment, how you don't have character traits of following through or doing things that you say, how you are actually not good at this, you're not good at that. And then you keep feeling like, okay, maybe I should hire someone to help me. And then you tell yourself that you can actually afford it, or you don't have time for it, or it will not make a difference anyway. Why bother? And then you just keep feeling like you're busy and surviving, and you also feel like there's not much you can do about it. And then you keep wondering that since you only know how to do this one thing, how could you learn the skills of doing something else, or you don't have the transferable skills, right? So all of this chatter that we have, that I have just listed out, are from many, many humanitarians, or even one humanitarian could have all of these chatters in their head. And I used to be someone who also did that. And then all of that was coming from this mere belief that making money that I want, that supports my lifestyle, supports the lifestyle of my loved ones, and doing things that I love, and making that money cannot be done or is not within my control. And when I think that, all of this chatter keeps influencing, keep prevailing our experience of life while we're trying to work. And what that does is then all of this chatter then keeps us in the survival mode, in the functioning mode, and in the just keeping afloat mode, and never really actually having the time and energy to go to doing what we want to do. Now, I would like to equally read out to you all the ways that we do things when we actually believe money is within our control. And this is the state that I have gotten myself into through coaching. And I have coached so many clients to get to this state where they really feel like, oh my God, anything is possible. I could do this or I could do that, and I would like to do this. And how am I going to do that? And then working on it. And as we speak, there are several of my clients, amazing clients, who are even doing this to get to 1 million. So here are the things they are doing from the assumption or from the belief that money is within their control, and not only any money, but the amount they want to, right? So what they do is So I put it into you. If this was you, right? That if you had this belief of money is within my control or the amount that I want within my control, this is what you would do. You decide what you want, why do you want it, and fully in going for it. Just the way that you have done probably when you have started your humanitarian career, you really wanted it. You said, I'm gonna do this no matter what. You also went probably against many of your loved ones' concerns about, oh my God, are you going to the war zones, conflict zones, or unstable situations and all of this? And you decided not to listen to any of them and go for it anyway, because that's really what you wanted to do, right? And the same goes here is when you know that this is what I want to do and this is why I want to do it and this is how I can actually make it happen, then you will go unstoppable. So you will also know how to deal with fear, right? Because you know that fear is essential and it's going to come up in any uncertain situations, and therefore the future is always uncertain, or going for something that you haven't done before is uncertain, and therefore you will want to go for it. And also recognize that fear is going to come along to the right, but you also know how not to get influenced by fear. You will also know how to work through confusions, because confusions will be part of this journey anyway. And even now, as I was getting coached yesterday, I realized a lot of the things that I was staying in was in confusion state, and I didn't really recognize it until my coach pointed out. So therefore, we have actually worked through yesterday as to how to continue working through confusion and what to do about it. And therefore, when you are going for goals that you really like and you really want, then you will also know how to go through confusion and work it through. So you decide also where to start, brainstorm about all the things that you could be doing or you could be getting ready for, what needs to get done. You also know how to prepare yourself for transitioning or get a coach who can help you get prepared for that as well. You answer your own questions, and you also own your questions. Oh, sorry, your answers. So, right, in other words, so whenever you ask someone a question and then they answer your question and you like it or you believe them, then likelihood of you then taking up that answer and actually implementing it is higher because you have owned it, right? You have believed it, you have decided this is the right thing or the right answer, and therefore you have acted upon it. And the same goes for your own answers, because oftentimes my clients tell me that they have the answer to their questions, but they don't really own it. They don't really act upon it because they don't really believe or trust themselves that this is the right answer, right? So therefore, you also know you also know whether you make it successful, your transitioning successful or not depends on you. And I think this is one of the biggest things that I have realized in my transitioning journey is that at some point in the beginning, I used to believe that my success somehow depends on someone else or an expert or whoever, or coach or mentor or all of those things. And while it's amazing to listen and learn from them, I also realized that I don't want to be abdicating my responsibility to them or abdicating my success to them, right? So therefore, realizing that my transitioning success depends on me and I'm the one who's making it happen made me in the a powerful state. Now, I also know that for some of my clients, this makes them feel like pressured or stressed out because they feel like, oh my God, it's such a huge responsibility. I'm not sure if I want to take it or whatever not. And whenever we are in that state, what we then often do is we're going to be so much focused on the pressured state rather than actually empowering ourselves that how much successful we want to make depends really on us, on our ability to trust ourselves, on our ability to make things work, to deal with fear, to deal with confusion, all the other things, and to believe things that we want to believe. So, and act on them, right? So you also decide no longer tolerate abusive relationships, whether at work or at home. And I think this is one of the biggest things that I keep telling my story about as I have observed my mother, right? If you haven't caught that LinkedIn video that I did, where I was telling about how I have seen the patterns of similarity with my mom and myself, only difference being that my mom felt dependent on her husband her entire life and felt like everything evolved around him, while I made that dependency not on men, because that's what I learned from my mom, not to be dependent on men. Or not that I want to badmouth men or anything. It's just that I want to be always independent and emotionally, financially, and any other way independent. And I didn't want to create codependent relationships. But at the same time, I realized that I created codependent relationship with my employer, and I kept telling my employer that I can't live without you, basically, right? And the reason why I also felt that way, not only because of the money, but also because of believing that I can't really do other things that I want to in life. I can't really function basically without this employer, because my identity was so tied to it. So therefore, I was willing also to tolerate a lot of the abusive relationships of bullying or harassment at workplace. And that's something that I actually don't tolerate in my personal life, right? So therefore, knowing and believing that money is within our control actually helps us to rely on ourselves and our abilities and skills to make the money we want to, so that we don't create this codependent relationships either with our partners or with our employers, right? So therefore, you trust that you are capable to make the amount of money that you want, or learn the skill of how to make it, because everything in life is a skill to learn. And if other people are doing it, a likelihood of you doing it as well is very high, simply because you have proven to yourself that you have the ability to learn. Because for your job currently, for your job to be successful the way it is, you have probably learned a lot of the skills necessary to get to the level of success. And the same goes for any other area that you want to work on. So you also know that you are you've done this before and you can do this again, or you also know that even if you haven't done this before, you will learn how to do it. You also don't tolerate or allow other people's opinions or fears or their projected fears onto you stop you from going for what you want. And I think a lot of the times it's very difficult to just keep entertaining other people's opinions. And I have a client now who's going through this, where he feels like everyone he talks to keeps telling him not to quit, while he says, no, 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 I'm doing my own thing. I have thought things through. I don't want actually anyone's advice if it's fearful or keep telling me that I should settle for less. I don't want to do that, right? And therefore, when you are so strong or convicted or compelled in what you want to do, and you know that you can make the money side work, you also don't really allow other people's opinions be the reason why you don't go for what you want to. And the same way that I talked in the beginning is where the humanitarian work that we wanted to do, we really wanted to do that work, and we didn't let anyone's opinion influence us to go for it, right? So you also know how to make your situation stable while you're transitioning, because you know that stability comes from within. Unlike the popular opinion that stability comes from an employer, from a partner, from other people, that is not true. You own the results of your life that you have created so far, so that you don't keep creating resistance to it, meaning to your current situation. At the same time, you also know how you want to make changes moving forward, right? You study things, but you study with a particular purpose of how you will use it moving forward in your transitioning. So I will give you an example of an amazing client who's now working her way up to $1 million business, and she is actually studying a particular certification for I think certain audit thing, and she knows that this will help her grow her business as well. And that's why she's studying specifically that thing, right? So it becomes the difference between just studying in general for the sake of studying so that you can reassure yourself that what you're doing is right or you're going in the right direction or whatever, but rather you're doing it because you want to go in that direction. So you also know failure is part of the process and you know how to deal with them. You are also honest with your desires and how to get them or how to fulfill your desires. You keep convincing yourself how you are so capable of creating what you want along the way, especially when things get tough, because that's the time where our fear brain wants us to just go back to what we know and be safe and not risk at all, right? You also keep tracking your progress of whether you are going in the right direction that you want to or not, and keep evaluating whether what you wanted is happening or not, and why not if it's not happening. So you also keep being aware of what thoughts to believe and what thoughts not to believe anymore. In other words, what thoughts serve you and what not. You also are intentional about what to believe and what not to believe, because you know that you don't want to generate emotions that are not really serving you in that moment. So, in other words, you choose what to think and how to feel, especially about money. And you're no longer going to continue these judgmental or hypocritical um, thoughts or judgments about money, like, oh, money is a bad thing, or I shouldn't be wanting this, or whatever other things, and then feeling like at the same time, the money being the reason why you are not where you want to be. So you also know then how to not postpone or delay things that you want to, and start actually doing the things that you want to, and that things that you know that needs to get done to get ready or to go to what you want to, instead of being in indecision, being in survival state, being in wandering state. So you also know that you have the energy or you have whatever it takes, because you stop entertaining yourself or indulging yourself with activities that drain your energy, like keep wondering about what to do or where to go, or keep complaining about things that they're not going, keep feeling stuck, or keep feeling like venting or being in a company of others who are doing it. You no longer do that or be in that, because you just don't see how that's serving you. And you also start realizing all of this just drains your energy and you don't want to be there. And therefore, you start being careful about how you spend your energy, your time. So you know that everything is a skill that you can learn, including commitment, confidence, decision, following through, whatever else that you believe it takes for you to succeed in your transitioning, and you start actually learning those skills. And you also know how to prioritize what's important, because you just don't want to be in the state that you are in. And therefore, you start building the future that you want to, all the elements that you want to, and make the amount happen. And most importantly, start implementing some of the decisions or experimenting with some of the ideas that you have already at your current place, before you even transition, or before you have even saved up the money to go to do something else. And all of this comes from this belief that money is actually within your control. So as you can see, that when we think something is within our control, we get more purposeful, more certain, more straightforward to how we're going to do it, why we're going to do it, and what are we going to do it, versus when we feel like it's not within our control, and then we just keep wishy-washy, tiptoeing, going around the bush, or keep postponing and just feeling like not being in the energy that we want to, right? So therefore, I really, really highly recommend for you to do this exercise with yourself. Maybe you will have even more your own reasons of how you're experiencing life when you feel like this thing is not within your control or you are dependent on it, versus when you have control over it or you have power over it. And then you will see the like shining differences between the two, and then realize, oh my God, if I believe this is within my reach, within my control, within my power, how would I start changing? How would I actually make decisions? How would I move towards what I want? And how would I make things happen the way I want to? And if you'd like to work on this, absolutely come coach with me or join me in my retreat in London at the end of January, where we're going to dive into what is actually within our control when we're going for $1 million a year impact that we want to create. So, my dears, have a beautiful week, and I'll talk to you very soon.